issues raised in today's political atmosphere, one seems left out of most conversation. Angelica Brackens is live in the muck to talk with death penalty expert and political science professor, Dr. Elizabeth Smith.
Thanks, Teresa, and thanks to Betty for joining us. Is it normal for a state to go so long without an execution and then all of a sudden have a few in a row?
Yeah, it really depends on the state. And so the state of Texas, for example, holds executions on a regular basis and has executed over 400 death row inmates in recent years. South Dakota, on the other hand, has had very few executions. So we had an execution on Monday this week, and prior to that, it was 5 years earlier that Elijah Page was executed, and prior to that, it was 60 years. So South Dakota, like most northern states, holds very few executions.
All right, and Eric Robert was executed just this past Monday night, and it's the first since Elijah Page 5 years ago, and the next one is scheduled to happen in a couple of weeks. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Sure. Ronald Mueller is a death row inmate. He's been on death row for almost a couple of decades, I think. And he recently withdrew all appeals and requested expeditious execution.
All right, and in Sioux Falls, there was a vigil that was held on Monday night in accordance to the execution. Can you tell us a little more about the controversy surrounding the death penalty?
Sure. I think people have very strong feelings for and against the death penalty, and there were really two demonstrations, if you will, in Sioux Falls this week. One was entitled Not in Our Name, and it was a group of people who oppose all executions, and another group was there in support of the widow of the corrections officer who was murdered by Mr. Robert.
All right, and is lethal injection the main means of execution?
Yes, nationally. It's not the only means of execution, but it's the default execution method in most states, and it is the only execution method permitted in South Dakota.
All right, thanks to Betty for joining us. Live from the muck, I'm Angelica Brackens.
Thanks, Angelica.